Welcome to another episode of the Kevin Choe Show. My name is Kevin Choe, one of the hosts. I'm the only host on this podcast actually, but in this podcast, in this episode specifically, I want to highlight Mr. Mohammed. And the reason why I want to highlight him is because him and I actually closed a deal together yesterday or not last week, and
hmm
we got funded yesterday. And I want to highlight this because number one, I had no clue. I was not even involved in this deal, and Mohammed and my team really worked on it. So I want to put some highlight on Mohammed and my partner Lorraine because they do so much behind the scenes that most people don't even see. But in this video, I'm gonna have Mohammed kind of give us a deal breakdown of what the deal was like, because I like I said, I don't really know. I know where the deal was. I know it was a sub-2 deal or seller finance deal most likely. But because I'm now that I'm skilled out of my wholesale operation, this is what I'm doing full time. I want to highlight Mohammed. So what's up, Mohammed?
Hey man, thanks for inviting me on this. It's an honor to be on this podcast. And I've been working with the team behind the scene for a while now, for a couple of months since I joined um, Subto group. I've been doing wholesaling for a while, but I wanted to know Subto because obviously I found a pace, and I also was subscribed to your channel for a while, learned a lot from you. And I actually got in touch with Lauren because my first deal actually did not work out. I posted that on Facebook, and Lauren actually reached out, and we actually built out a relationship where me and her, we was able to JV on this deal, and we have some other deals in the pipeline, which we're going to be working. So particularly, this deal was in Baytown, Texas.
Okay.
I reached out to the seller through a cold call, just like the way you showed. Highlight on your YouTube channel, right? I learned a lot from your YouTube channel, so I just want to give the credit where it's due. Also from the Zoom call from the Sub2 group. Um, and I built a relationship. Initially, the first property that I reached out for did not work out, but I explained the Sub2 to the realtor, and she kept my information. She was one who was willing to listen, to be honest. So she kept my information, and she actually had a out of the state seller who bought this property that we closed on as an investment, but he actually works overseas, so he don't have much time, and it's a struggle for him because he's in like a break-even situation where he's not making any money on it.
Okay.
So all he wanted to do is he wanted to get his equity out as much as possible without going to the on market. And the realtor actually called me out of the blue on Sunday, and she said, okay, I know we spoke a while ago, but I have a deal that might work out. It was an amazing deal. The PITI was break even point, as well as the mortgage was about like 3% or under 3% interest rate. So I actually underwrote it, and I want to give the credit where the credit is due. I actually checked in with Lorraine, your partner, before I was able to present it to the realtor that, hey, Lauren, do you think if we lock it up, we should be able to find a buyer for this deal, right? So we locked it up, and then after we locked it up, I actually worked with Lorraine, and she was able to find a buyer for this particular deal. And we also actually worked with one of the TC that you guys work with, who was able to take it to the finish line. It was absolutely a smooth process. There was some going back and forth because the seller was overseas and the buyer actually had some trip. So I mean, it went smooth, and we have some other ones in the pipeline that we're working on right now behind the scene.
I see. Yeah. So this deal in Baytown, Texas. I mean, we can disclose the address, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure if YouTube gonna like that, but you can definitely disclose the information. We closed in on it on last Friday, but
So
definitely you can
the address is 3410 Hunters Canyon in
mhm.
Baytown, Texas. And the homeowner bought the house thinking, oh, I'm gonna turn this house into a cash flowing, property and whatnot. And and what happened was this house ended up not making any money. It was like break even. So he's like, oh, if it's gonna break even, why do I even have my money in this deal? Like, let's just cash it out. So
Mhm.
he's like, all right. But he didn't want to lose money because if he were to sell it with a listing agent, then the listing agent will get a cut, and I'm sure the buyer's agent will come along and they would also get a cut.
Mhm.
So, so that's how this property came about, and And what was the interest rate? What was the conversation like? Did you say like you specifically buy houses that have no equity or?
So the first call basically was from the prop stream. So after I joined the group, I actually went through your prop stream tutorial where you show like how to pull those listing, right, on prop stream. So my first call was that where I actually reached out for another listing, and my conversation was, hey, is your seller going to be open to subject to offers if we can come up to the listing price? And we had the conversation on the whole spiel about how the subject to work. And then the next conversation was like much easier because she knows like what you are looking for, right? So this listing came about. She said, the seller don't want to put this on the market because there is a tenant in there, Section 8 tenant in there, and he's basically breaking even. And a seller is looking for a quick sell. He's not making any money, and he just wants somebody to step in, give his equity on closing, and then he just wants somebody to take over the payment. So when he goes overseas, he don't have to worry about the repairs in the house because he's in Florida. He was in Texas. He moved to Florida, and now he just wanted to sell the house because he was far away and he don't know. I think he was on breaking even. I think he was spending some money every single month where he was negative. So he wanted to list the house for, I believe, for 245. He had an existing mortgage of, I believe, 210,000. So he wanted like 35,000 equity on closing. But I told him like, look, the house doesn't cash flow to start with, right? So what we can do is we can actually give him some of his equity up front on closing,
Okay.
and then rest of his equity down the line after like 3 to 5 years, right? And it doesn't cash flow, so we cannot make a monthly payment to the seller. And the seller was okay with that because if he was selling it traditionally, he would have to give up between 8 to 10% on the closing cost concessions and the realtor commission fee, right? And nobody, so someone who would buy the house, they might want the house to be vacated, right? He had at least another 3 or 4 months in the lease agreement, so he just wanted somebody to just take over. So he was able to work out the terms where we could give some of his equity up front and some of his equity after 5 years in a single mortgage, a single payment after the balloon, and take over the mortgage for the terms of the loan.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
So 35,000 was what he was looking for. How much do we put down and what was it like this the seller finance 0%?
So the we put down 10,000 on closing on seller's pocket, cover the realtor's commission, which is about $7,000, right? And then we finance the other 25,000, which is due in 5 years, $0, 0% interest, and zero down every single month. So there will be no payment made to the seller for 5 years. That's gonna be silent for 5 years.
Yeah, this is such a good deal, man, because you're literally getting into the deal for no money out of your pocket, right? Uh,
Right,
so doing 5 years, $35,000,
right.
and um, so $25,000 doing 5 years at 0% is down
Mm,
0% interest rate. Like
right,
I have a very similar deal structure where in this, but it was like the homeowner refinance into a DSCR loan, so they have like $130,000 in equity. The homeowner
right.
owes $130,000 in like I owe the homeowner $130,000 in 5 years with 0% interest rate with no payments, and I got into the deal for $15,000, and that was
Man,
$70,000 house. It was insane.
wow, wow, that's nice. Yeah, and the good thing about this deal was there was no HOA. So the buyer who's taking over, they can just kick out the Section 8, renter after 3 or 4 months, and he can do whatever he want to do with it. So it was very, very attractive.
I see. 3 or 4 months. Got it. Got it. And what was the process working with my team? Were they able to find the buyer pretty quickly on this one?
Oh yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, I mean, I'm working with your partner Lorraine for
Yeah.
some deals, and anytime I underwrite anything, I know the buy box, I know which areas she have the buyers on, right? So anytime I underwrite a deal, either I want to take it over or I want to wholesale, I send it over. Initially, I send it to the realtor and see what the reactions are, and if they say my seller is some sort of interested, and send over the contract. Before I do that, I actually double check with Lorraine, and I want to make sure that we have buyers for this. So for this particular deal, I think we locked it up, and we was able to find a buyer in like 3 to 4 days because of the terms of how easy how good it was, and we assigned it. We supposed to close in by the first of this month, but seller was overseas, as well as the buyer actually he had to go back to his home country. But other than that, we was scheduled to close within like 2 weeks since we signed the contract. That's how fast
Wow.
everything was. And the best part was we was able to get some videos of the house from the tenant, it's him herself, and the buyer didn't even walk the house because the house was in such a great condition. They just saw the video, no walkthrough. They just signed the assignment contract.
When did they buy? When did this particular homeowner buy the house?
The current owner, sorry, the buyer or the seller who sold the house?
Oh, the seller who sold the house. When did this
The
sell?
he bought the house, I think, back in 2022. So he bought it recently when the mortgage rate was down, like very very good amount, like the interest rate was on very very good percentage. I think the interest rate was like 2.75 on
Oh
this
my
one.
gosh.
2.75. Yeah, and so it was very very good. And I brought it to Lorraine after I signed the contract, and she was able to, like, just go to the buyer, and they just bought the house sight unseen, based on the video that I got from the tenant through the realtor.
Wow. Wow. 2022, 2.75% interest rate. And it's like people are talking about like, oh my God, like I got, the rate's going 7.58%, that none of the deals cash flow, but like you look at this, it's like 2.75% interest rate. Like that's a pretty stinking good deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and I think the buyer won like big time. Whoever took it over, they won big time. The market, the ARV for this house right now, if they was able to like fix it up and put it back in the market, it'd be like 275. So they get some instant equity, about like $30,000 in equity. They got a great rate, and they just took over the deal for like no money down, and they have a Section 8 tenant in there. They can just increase the rent by like $100, and they make cash flowing $100 with no money out of their pocket every single month.
Wow. Wow. What a good deal.
Yeah,
Good
it
deal.
comes around, once in a while, for
It
sure.
really is. It really is.
Yeah,
And I'm curious if this particular homeowner had multiple offers. I know this was a more of off-market deal, but did
right.
this owner have other offers that like other investors presented were like similar, taking over mortgage payments?
I don't think they did. I think the realtor was related to the seller. I think she actually sold this house to the seller, and the seller really did not like speak any English, so she was able to, like, fill the gap in between. So she knows what I do and which area I buy on. So she just brought it to me directly. She said the seller is looking to put it on the market for 245. I said, if you put it on market for 245, you're gonna be end up losing money because you have a tenant in there. So you're gonna be in the market for 3 to 4 months easily without a question, right? And then he's gonna be paying 8 to 10% in closing cost and concession and all that. Why go through all the hassle? Let me just underwrite it and see if you can at least break even, which is what I did. And then, I presented the offer the same day, and the seller looked at it. They're like, okay, I'm getting my money without going out of my pocket. I mean, I don't have to do anything. They just accepted it, and we just went through the process from there.
It's so I love how these transactions go just because like you are making like in transactions like this, you're able to like a homeowner, this particular homeowner doesn't even speak English. She would have lost, probably like good chunk of money on if she didn't know anything about what you're proposing.
Right.
And what was the time frame like? So the moment you contact the realtor and the moment the realtor was like, hey, Mohammed, I have a same seller that I represented on the buyer side, but he's selling it again. What was that time frame? Like how like 2 months, 3 months?
So you're talking about when the realtor brought me the deal, and when they accepted the offer, you said?
No, no. So when you first connected with the realtor and she said, well, I don't have
Oh,
anything now.
it was like a month. It
Really?
was like a month. Yeah, it was like a month. So my goal is like a lot of things that I learned from the Closers Cafe as well as your Zoom call. I joined couple of your Zoom call. Plus, I looked at your I studied your call. I still study your call from the YouTube channel. Is like your initial call is not about you know buying that house, right? It's about explaining the process, right? So sometimes this call goes for like 10, 15, even 25 minutes, right? And you explain the whole subject to and how things work. And as long as you build that a relationship, they knows, like I told them that, hey, I'm an option on your back pocket. So if you want to sell fast, you have some pre-foreclosure lead that you can't close, you need to sell fast, you need to save the seller credit, which comes into, like, we are working on another deal with Lorraine where we have a pre-foreclosure lead on market. where we are actually helping out the seller, which we can come to later. But it's about like building the initial relationship, and then later on the line, they knows that hey, if I go to Mohammed, he can provide me with the fast option, right? And then
Yeah.
the realtor actually brought me this deal. I underwrote it, presented an offer, and it was accepted in like 48 hours. Seller said yes, I'll do it, right? So that's what I do. I just build relationship, and down by the line, if they have a deal, they just bring it to me, and we can see if we can make something happen.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah,
And well,
absolutely.
tell me about the other two deals that we have. We have a deal in Odessa and Killeen, Texas, right?
So the Odessa one, we're still working on the details because the seller actually had some loan mod and partial claim done. So we're still working on the details for that one. But in the Killen one, we have the deal under contract. And to be honest, I have no idea about how to work pre-foreclosure. So I actually brought it to Lorraine, your partner, and she said, okay, they have a big arrears in the back, so I might have a buyer, but we have to go through partial claim. And I'll be honest with you, I have zero idea what partial claim was until I spoke to Lauren about this thing, right? Because
Yeah.
the pre-foreclosure, I did some cash deal on pre-foreclosure, so the buyer just brings the money and they just pays off all the stuff, right? So she explained that, okay, we have a buyer, but they're willing to pay for the partial claim where we can take this initial the arrears, we can actually put it in the back of the mortgage as a silent second note, right?
Yeah.
And the seller has a VA loan, so we told the seller, I happened to call it the realtor and the seller, and I told them, I explained them like, hey, this is what you can do. We're gonna go through the process of taking your mortgage, and we're gonna put it in the back of the mortgage, right? And once that is successful, we then go through the purchase process. And 100% credit goes to Lorraine, because I wouldn't be able to find a buyer because of such a big arrears. But she was able to find a buyer, and the buyer was able to pay for that. And we are actually going through the process. Hopefully by the end of the month, it has a great interest rate. I think somewhere around like 3%, 3.5%. Killeen, Texas, hot area. The house will cash flow like crazy.
Is it like a
Once
VA loan
somebody
or
move on,
something?
huh?
Is it a VA loan?
VA loan. Yeah, VA loan. There was a solar as well, so nobody was touching it. Pre-foreclosure plus solar.
Yeah.
So, same thing. This realtor, I built a relationship with another listing. I just called. He said, I don't have anything for you, man, but if I get anything, I'll let you know. I just got a call out of the blue, like, hey, I get a seller pre-foreclosure, he has a solar on it. Nobody's touching it, and he's gonna go to the foreclosure. Can you do something on it? So I ran the number and then just brought it to Lorraine, and we was able to work something out. Going through
Man,
the process right now.
something about you, you just bring like really low interest rate deals. Like I just had a conversation with Lauren and she goes, like most of the Subto deals that we're seeing now are also high interest rate. Like they're not cheap, you know what I mean?
Right.
Um, but it's interesting. Okay. I love that.
I mean, I brought the Odessa deal, right? It has a interest rate of like 7%, right? Because it had some loan modification done, as well as some sort of like partial claim done. But
Yeah.
that house, if somebody take over, I can guarantee you they will cash flow about like $800 a month on a long-term rental,
How?
because they actually combined the what is it called? They actually combined I think the partial claim amount and the loan mod amount together. So uh, the loan is in a place where the PITI is about, I think, like 1,500 a month, and the rental rate in that area is about like 2,300. No HOA. So there's like multiple exit. And I'm not saying like, I just get lucky. I underwrite a lot of deal, when I get them, right? And I will only bring most of them just get rejected. Like, oh, the down payment is low because we have to keep it under 10% if we have to dispo or find a buyer, right?
Yeah.
And I don't, lock up deals which I'm not confident that I can't, dispo. So I rather be, without any deal, rather than locking up a bad deal, which is what a lot of people do,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And it's so helpful when you have someone like Lorraine that can say, okay, well, is this a good deal? Is this not deal? And she's like,
Right.
this is a good deal, go lock it up. And you like immediately were able to find a buyer for that.
Oh yeah, and Lauren is also going to be like, oh, this is not a deal, but if you can get it on this, I can definitely dispo it. And
Oh,
that's
so
how I
she'll give
actually,
you buy price, like go
uh,
after this homeowner this much.
right. And we did that. I did that on one of them, and I'm hoping that I'm gonna be able to get it under contract. That's in Phoenix, Arizona. So we are just waiting on that right now. buyer has a cash deal, which I doubt gonna go through. But she actually gives me those prices. I tell her, I'm like, okay, so you have some experience in this area. Would you mind telling me like where I need to be to get it done, right? Where to display it, and I'll go exactly on that price. And I did, and I'm just hoping that that's gonna work out on that one, hopefully.
I love it. I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Well, well, Mohammed, I know I want to keep it keep it somewhat short so the audience can like get straight to the point and get the juice in and out. But
Sure.
like, so what are you exactly focusing on, right? So for people that are watching that and they want to work with you because you brought us 3 deals in like in less than 30 days and people and I don't think anybody has ever done that while working with me. So like what can you help other people out with? Because I'm sure there's gonna be a handful of people that just want to reach out to you and say like, Mohammed, what's the secret?
The secret is, I mean, if you have some deals that you need to underwrite, I can definitely, guide you on that. I think I'm getting good at underwriting the deal, right?
Okay.
Because we have to keep the deal under 10%, right? And let the, keep the number, underneath. And if you have a deal on the area, definitely, if I know somebody who can, deployed like Lauren, I can recommend them to Lauren, or I can help them to underwrite the deal and look at the comps and stuff like that in the area, like the rental comps, which is what I'm getting good at right now. And
Yeah.
not only that, I actually learned. I never had any idea about CCRs because all I've been doing before is like wholesale deal, right? Lauren is the first one who told me like, hey, you have to look at the CCRs, you have to look at the terms and stuff like that, right? So I can tell people like, hey, before you lock something up, look at this documentation because you don't want to spend time on some deals that that never gonna close,
Right.
right? You only want to work on the deals that you think gonna close, and you want to bring that because while you're gonna be talking to other people, instead of locking up bad deals, you can just talk to other people and build a relationship, right?
Yeah.
And I want to tell people like with full transparency, I'm not trying to like prop you up. I am calling the same list that that you showed on your prop stream. Like, hey, these are the lists you should be calling, and these are the lists you should be going after, right? So that when you build a relationship with the realtor, and they should just go back to your prop stream tutorial from your channel. Those are the lists I'm actually calling, and when I'm actually calling these people, I'm actually building the relationship, and I'm building the relationship where I'm telling them that, hey, I'm good for this. I'm not good for your cash offers at all. I'm only good for the situation where you have a pre-foreclosure lead or somebody who doesn't have like much equity, or somebody willing to wait for their money, right? They're willing to get something up front, something later on. That's what I'm good for. I'm not good for any cash offer. If you bring me something for cash, where the house is like fully turnkey, but you want some cash offer, I cannot do that, right?
Right.
And I'm just basically like going after that.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people have been complaining about like, hey, this is so saturated, but like, 3 deals in 30 days, is it really saturated, right? I mean,
Right.
are you on the how often are you on the phone with? Like 6, 8 hours a day?
Yeah. Today I had about 6 call, and each call, like some call goes up to like 25-30 minutes. No lie, no joke, because they're gonna ask you a question like, oh, okay, so here is how you're doing the deal, right? What happens if you default? What happens if you what is it called? What happens if you don't make the equity payment? How are you gonna make sure that the seller is protected, right? These are all things that I learned from your channel, and stuff from the Subto, right? They want to know all the details before they're willing to present something to their seller, right? They want to know like they don't get sued, right? So
Yeah.
I have to explain them everything, but like, hey, this is how it works, this is how that works. And I know that I'm not the first solution for your seller, but if they're willing to see an offer, just send over their mortgage information. I'll be more than happy to present you with an offer, a formal offer, and see if we can make something happen, right? And I'll make sure that you get paid you 3%. And I'm hoping that the funny thing that you said, we are actually hopping on a call. I think the same realtor who brought me that deal for the Baytown might gonna bring me another deal in a month. She said that she has another another lead who might be interested in it. So I said, okay, hopefully.
Love it. Love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're such a likable person. Like, you're already like smiling, man. You get on the phone.
Yeah,
I,
I mean, that's my job. That's how we make money, right?
yeah.
Relationship, right? And I'm glad that I could connect with you. Now you know me by my face, so hopefully in the future, if I bring you some deals, you know who I am. You know.
Yeah. Well, there we have it, guys. Mohammed, so if anybody wants to reach out to you, do people just reach out to you on Facebook, Instagram, email?
So my Facebook name is Mohammed Adam Sarkar. You should be able to see my face in there. Just to send me a message on Facebook. I would love to work with anybody who needs help, because the reason why I love Subto community, and I'm part of a lots of group. It's Subto community is not just a group, it's a community, and I get help from everybody. Like, I was able to connect with people like you, people like your partner, right? So I really don't have to like worry about getting help. So it's such a great group. So please reach out to me via Facebook if you have any deal. I would love to see if we can work together or as a team to see if we can build out this relationship that can translate into something. So yeah, definitely message me on Facebook for sure.
I love it. I love it. Well, there you guys have it, guys. If you guys have any deals that you would like want my partner Lorraine to take a look at, you want to email her at deals@thekevincho.com and she will get back to you in 24 hours, right, Mohammed?
Yeah, 24 hours or sooner. She's active. Even in the late night, she just said messaged me at like 11 o'clock. Hey, Mohammed, I think this is what you need to do. I'm like, okay,
I
I
love it.
appreciate it.
I love
Yeah.
it. Well, there you guys
Yeah.
have it. Well, another episode of the Kevin Cho Show. See you guys in the next episode.
All right.